Holy hell. Holy hell, what a game one. It's Snipes and Stripes right here on nofilter.net. It was such a good game. We had to jump on right away and go live with my boy Tim Peel. Game one in the books. Can we ask for a better first game of a Stanley Cup final than an overtime thriller? And of course, the two superhumans come through at the end. What a hockey game, Peelsy. What'd you think?
You know what, buddy? It's amazing. It's amazing. Last year, I didn't think it could get any better. They went 7 games last year. Obviously, Florida jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Edmonton clawed back, but you know what? We did not have one overtime game last year, which is unbelievable, right?
Unbelievable.
And I was sitting there with Bronson, my son, and my wife Tisha, and I go, this could go 3 or 4 overtimes. Like I don't know when this is going to end. This is unbelievable. And the goaltending on both sides. Listen, Bobrovsky was amazing tonight, buddy.
He was awesome. I thought both goaltenders made some severe sick saves. I thought both teams brought their game, the physicality, the speed, the tenacity, the anger, the the speed was amazing. The way that they all finished their checks was amazing. Some of the intimidation stuff that happened, Marchand hitting McDavid, Sam Bennett going. You got to tell me what happened in that Sam Bennett goal, because I was actually watching the game in the restaurant and I couldn't hear. I thought for sure that was a no goal. I thought for sure that was a
Well,
goaltender interference. What was the call on that?
so that's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a great point to bring up. When it happened, I looked at my family and I said, "That's no goal."
That's no
But,
goal.
but hold on. But that's what the great thing about it's so easy for us to officiate from home. Then I watched it on the replay, and Bennett's not doing anything wrong. Bennett's standing in front of the net. He's battling. Kulak does not mean to do it, Jr. He does not mean to do it, but he hits and you know what it's like as a hockey player. You get your feet hit out from behind, you fall back, and it really was not an egregious play on both sides, on Florida's side or Edmonton's side. He got knocked down, he stumbled, and Bennett didn't do anything wrong. And I'm the first one, like, listen, Bennett went into Stollarts. Bennett went into Anderson in the Carolina
Yeah,
series.
but you don't think Bennett moved towards the net to get into position? I mean,
I
I don't think Kulak took him down. I think Bennett, in
no,
moving into a closer position, actually took his own legs out.
but that's okay. Like he's allowed to battle for position in front of the net, right? Like he's not doing. Bennett is not doing anything wrong there. Listen, I'm glad the NHL. I think they made the right call. I'm glad the Bennett's battling for position. Kulak's battling. It's the rub of the green. He falls back. I think it was a bad challenge, honestly. If you looked at the replay, and that's what
You and I agree on a lot of things. But this one, I'm going to have to disagree
But,
on.
but even Gretzky and the TNT guys, they're like, that's
Of
a
course, they're going to say that because they're going to protect their referees. They're not going to say anything that's going to be against it. I think Kulak has his position that he can control there too. He has right to his position, and he's holding taut. And he didn't make a purposeful move on the stick to knock Bennett's legs out. Bennett trying to move back into a better position, literally tripped over Kulak, and his body position that went into the goaltender was created because of his movement towards the crease. I don't it's I don't think Kulak did anything to make him go down. He held his ground. It
you
was Bennett moving
you you
closer to the crease that allowed him to make contact with
you
the
know what I
goaltender.
Jr. and maybe you'll appreciate this. I looked at Tisha, who and I go, the league doesn't want to take away goals. Okay, we want more goals in this league. I don't have a problem with that call. I listen. There's a lot of shit happening in the playoffs. There's a lot of battles in front of the net. Listen, at the end of the day, it wasn't a determining factor in the game. I
Oh,
don't.
that's a good thing, right? It's not a determining factor. There's no question about it.
And I don't think Chris Knobloch and the players had a problem with the call either. I don't necessarily agree with the
Well,
chat.
I will say this, and in saying that, that's a very good point by you, because I think last year, I think Edmonton would have gone nuts on a missed call like that.
100%.
They've gone through so many really unbelievable ups and downs in the playoffs last year and this year. Obviously, being down 3-0 and coming back, then being down to LA, being down to Dallas, being down to these teams, and nothing. They stay. You know, we always say no emotional highs and lows, right? This team literally is not letting anything bother them, and they didn't let that bother them,
No,
which
they
to
didn't.
me shows so much maturity in a team that's ready to win and confident they're going to win.
Is there anybody? Well, there isn't, obviously. There is nobody with a left handed shot on the right side better than Leon Draisaitl
No,
in the world. In the
no,
world.
no.
JR, you played with a lot of phenomenal, talented players. How skilled is this guy?
It's I was talking with the boys on After the Whistle this morning about and another podcast about who's going to win the Conn Smythe. And my first choice was Leon Draisaitl, whether they win or they don't win, because he has scored some of the biggest goals in this playoffs by a country mile. Overtime goals. That's his third overtime goal of these playoffs, and he scores the first one. He scores 2 goals tonight. And yes, Connor McDavid with his passes are like his ability to pierce that puck into positions where these guys are putting it in the back of the net. Obviously, that pass to Ekholm was insane.
Yeah.
That little floater and the game winner was insane. But Draisaitl, they have such a knack. This is where the hockey IQ comes in, so unbelievable, right? Leon Draisaitl didn't go to the corner to the post. He came out to the crease.
Yeah.
He gave McDavid the perfect lane to get there, and he didn't make any mistake. He buried it. That big paddle that he has and the way his release. Um,
Does he have a long stick, JR? You played
yeah,
with
it's a
him.
long
Is
stick
that
and
a
a
long
big
stick?
paddle. Yeah, it's a long stick and a big paddle, which
He is.
allows
Eh?
him to control the puck, get a
Look,
lot of the puck when
it
he
look,
takes a shot. Yeah,
it looks like a canoe.
it is. It's an oar. It's a canoe oar. It's a paddle. It's unbelievable. It's so big.
But you know what? Hey, listen, Edmonton fans, JR and I have talked about this. We love the Kachucks. We have a great deal amount of respect for the Kachucks. We'd love to see Connor win a Stanley Cup, but don't get too cocky
No,
because
no, no.
I'm watching that game, JR, and this Florida team, they are all business.
Yeah,
They know what it takes to win. And I'll be honest, if they won the next 4 games, it wouldn't surprise me.
yeah. Well, they
They,
won the first half of the game. Yeah,
they
they won
are
the first half of the game.
they are that good of a hockey team. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Well, you see some of the plays that they make and some of the passes they make, and the puck control. The save he made on Bennett, the save he made on Verhage on the rebound. A couple of the saves that he was able to pull off on some great plays by Florida. I think Florida got a little tired. I
Yeah,
heard Gratz say at the
that's a
end
good
of the
point. That's a good
I
point.
heard Gretz say on the panel, he's never seen Florida ice the puck so much in overtime. They started throwing the puck down. They started getting tired. The travel, the wait, not playing in a week. Um, Obviously, playing in a hostile building. I
Three,
think they lost their steam. And
three,
uh,
three Stanley Cup Finals in a row. They're playing. They're the only team. They're the only team that's played in until late June in the NHL.
yeah, yeah, they got to have some tired bodies. But the biggest indicator of their fatigue is that stupid penalty in overtime. Nosek, I mean, that is so lazy.
It
It's such a
wasn't.
bad penalty. It
It
wasn't. It
wasn't a
wasn't even
stupid penalty.
close. It
It
wasn't even
wasn't a
close.
stupid penalty.
It wasn't even close. It was such a lazy play. It was such a
JR,
stupid
the puck
lazy play.
flipped on him. The puck flipped on him. It wasn't a stupid penalty. The puck flipped on him.
Are you out of your damn mind?
Well, I've had
The player is a professional hockey player with nobody near him, and all he's got to do is throw it off the boards, and he flips it over the ice. I don't care if it flips or doesn't flip. You got to be more careful in a situation like that in overtime. I don't give a shit if the puck flips on him. That was a
no,
lazy
no,
penalty
no.
and a stupid one.
I disagree. I'm taking Nosek off the hook because
Oh my
the
God,
ice.
dude! He had so much time just to throw it off the boards and get it out,
But
but no, he
JR,
flips it out. No,
the the ice is bad in overtime. Okay, the ice is bad. The puck's flipping. He doesn't want to shoot it over the glass. I saw your message. It was a stupid penalty. I disagree. I don't think it was a stupid penalty. I
well.
think it was bad.
I disagreed with your non penalty with your goal call. You're disagreeing with the obvious fucking um um the big bear in the room. What's the big bear in the room? It's the penalty in overtime, and then you put Draisaitl and McDavid on the power play. No, you can't tell me that that's not lazy and that's not avoidable. I don't care if the puck flips. That's you got to
Hey,
be you in the playoffs in the final. You have to bear down. You got to be harder. He let that puck get way out in front of him, right? Which you don't do.
no, that's the
He had
problem.
plenty of time to get that puck and rifle it off the boards. Hell, they iced it 100 times during the overtime anyway. Why don't they just ice it again?
Hey,
It's just
listen. Shout out to Francis Sharon, Wes McCauley, I think he's worked 10 Stanley Cup finals now. It's unbelievable. Trent Noor, it was his first Stanley Cup final as a linesman, and Scott Cherry, it was his sixth Stanley Cup final. No one's talking about the officiating
I
tonight,
thought they did great.
and that's what we want in the Stanley Cup final,
Yeah,
and that's why those guys are
yeah,
working the Stanley. No one's Florida's not talking about calls. Edmonton's
no,
the officiating had nothing to do with that game. It was
that
a
was all they let the players play. And by
yeah,
the way, that's again, it wasn't a horseshit call. I mean, it was a horseshit
no.
penalty. I thought the referees did an amazing job keeping it fair on both sides. And it was a great hockey game. I mean, if
Let
this
me
is what
ask
we're
you
going to
this.
get, if this is what we're going to get for 7 games, you
Let,
know,
let me ask you this, and I've been thinking about this all day. 2 years ago, maybe even a year and a half ago, people were talking about how the Bobrovsky contract might have been one of the worst contracts in the history of the NHL. And then he goes on that run last year and wins a Stanley Cup. This guy, you got to give this guy credit, JR. He is an unbelievable goaltender.
he is. There's no question about it. His poise is off the chart. Um, he's been so consistent over his career. He might have had 1 year where he had an off year, but he's been so consistent. He's a Hall of Famer without question in my books. Now what he's doing again, he gave this team every opportunity to win, but just like our boy Joe Manuel in our chat room said, who's watching, um, Florida's going to be better in game 2.
Yeah, they will.
You better believe they're going to come out and they're going to be ready to play. They're going to be able to sit, rest up, and not have to travel. They'll have an optional tomorrow, and they're going to be ready to play. Um,
Let me
obviously they understand that they need to steal one in that building, and they just missed out on this opportunity. Um, Friday's a big one for them.
Bill Zito, who I absolutely love. He's a tremendous guy. I got to know him over the years. The GM of the Florida Panthers, um, nominated for GM of the year again. And what does he do? Like I don't know. I don't know their cap situation. What do you pay Sam Bennett, Jr.? Because he is
I
your
don't
type.
know if they can afford him. I don't know
He
if they
is
can afford him with
JR.
their cap.
JR. He is your type of player. And I laughed at a tweet I saw earlier tonight, and it was from our buddy Andy Strickland from the Cam and Strick with Cam Jansen and Andy
Yeah.
Strickland, and he goes, he does not change his facial expression ever. It's it's like the same. He has the same facial expression every
Yeah,
shift.
it's called anger.
It's
It's called
called
fierce.
and and
It's
being a
called fierce.
professional and a pro. Like, what do you pay this guy?
Yeah, but it's a fierce face. It's a competitive face. It's not a face of like of boredom or face of I'm not interested or face of I'm guess if I'm playing if I'm in the game or not. Sam Bennett's in the game because he's got a face like he's going to slap his stick over your head. The guy is he's a true professional. Plays the game the right way, plays it honestly, plays it tough, plays it with so much talent. The way that he's been able to elevate his game to being a goal scorer and being an effective offensive player over the last few years, it's a testament to his dedication to the game. He's an $11 million player. He's a 10, $11 million player just by the overall aspect of his game. He is the full, complete, thorough player.
What? I'd take him over fucking Mitch Marner every day, all day long. I would take.
I think 100%. You know what you're going to get from him every night, and he adds another element of ferocity and intimidation that you're never going to get from a Mitch Marner. But
What's
does he stay in Florida for a little bit of a discount because they don't have state taxes? He's still going to make the same if he goes someplace else. If he makes 10 and a half with Chicago, if he makes 8, it's like the same thing in Florida, right? So, I mean, he's going to have his choice of where to go. There's no question free agency is going to be really interesting this year.
where and you know this old expression, will over skill, will over skill. And
Yeah,
I see a Sam Bennett compared to a Mitch Marner, and I'm like, I want Sam Bennett in my lineup during the playoffs. I want Sam Bennett when the chips are down. I don't want Mitch Marner. And
yeah. And by the way, when Matthew Tkachuk came from Calgary to Florida, that's when that team changed. If a team if a team has the luck to get a Sam Bennett on their team, that team is going to make the same transition. They will make the same transition that Florida did because Sam Bennett will create that same mentality and culture in another building. He becomes priceless.
listen, that's why you have to give it doesn't get talked about enough, Jer. That's why you have to give a Bill Zito so much credit. He traded Huberdeau, Jonathan Huberdeau, who just finished a 115, 118 point season with Florida, and he traded him to Calgary for Matthew Tkachuk because he knew that's what he need to do to win a Stanley Cup. And that takes a lot of balls, buddy.
Yeah.
It
Hey,
takes a
listen,
lot
it's rolling
of
the dice. It's rolling the dice. It's gambling, and sometimes the gamble works, right? Sometimes it pays off, and for this team, it's paid off. But what a great start! Great
it's,
start! What an amazing game! I mean, they did not um, disappoint with both teams' efforts. You got to be happy with both team efforts.
well, and Jared, let's before we end up here, let's talk about Edmonton was down 3-1. They were down 3-1,
Yep,
right?
yep,
Like it, in game one of the Stanley Cup Finals, you're down 3-1. That's tough to come back from.
yep. It's probably one of the worst goals that Bobrovsky's let up in the playoffs, and
The
one he
one
probably wanted back.
you mean
But it gave, you
Arvid?
know, Arvidsson got that goal. I mean, he put everything he had into it, so it wasn't a hard shot. But that's one that Bobrovsky has 9 out of 10 times. He just missed it that one time, and then you have Skinner make 3 or 4 big saves to keep it at 3-2, which allowed them to get that goal in the third period. But yeah, I totally agree, man. What a phenomenal way to start. I still don't know who's going to win this series because both these teams are so poised. Nothing bothers them. Whether they're down, whether they're up, they stay the same way. They keep pushing, they keep doing the right thing. And Edmonton just looks like they're more ready and built for the physicality this year. They
Well,
they did not get phased by the physical aspect. They actually threw it right back at them.
well, you know what? The Gretz and Biz and those guys were pumping the tires of, even though he's not on the score sheet, I don't, he might have got an assist. I didn't look at the score sheet, but I know he was on for at least two of the Edmonton goals. Was Evander Kane,
Yeah, yeah.
and Gretz and those guys were pumping him up on the
Yeah, they
panel.
said some great things about him.
He's been a big part of their success this year, and
Yeah,
he's our buddy and a big supporter of the show, and I'm so happy for him. And
yeah. He said that. Remember, he said in the show on Monday. He said, "Listen," or on Saturday. He said, "This game one is a big game for us. It's a big one for us. We want to make sure we get off on the right foot. We don't want to get behind against this team." That was his main. That was his main goal and concern, and they got it done tonight. You know, I love what Gretz said. Gretz said he's mean, he's tough, he's physical. He says, but he's got great hands. He's
yeah,
got great hands for a for a tough guy, and that's another aspect to his game that's great.
I think the difference this year, and we'll see what happens over the next, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, however long the series goes, is Connor McDavid is healthy this year. He was not healthy in the Stanley Cup Finals this year. And I'm watching him, JR, tonight, and I'm like, this guy is just on a mission. Like, every,
Both
every
of them, him and Draisaitl,
it's
they're on a mission.
it's
And
unbelievable.
you can tell that they're watching McDavid. Every time he gets the puck, they close the gaps on him. He had so many times where he didn't, where he usually would have space to fly and get around. They closed that gap, but he was so tenacious, and he found the areas. He found the room, and he found the way to get that puck into those scoring areas. And he did it from the outside. He didn't do it from the inside like he usually does. Um, Again, you got to go back to a team that stays resilient, stays hard, stays banging, and they rely on their two big boys to get the job done. And they got it done again. It's amazing to me how they can continue to be so consistent in such big game situations. It's amazing.
You know what? I think people will be surprised. I think a lot of people thought game one it would get nasty. We'd get a lot of contact with the goaltenders in the crease. But game one is you're kind of feeling. You've been there before. You're kind of feeling each other out. I think game two is going to be nasty.
I don't know. I thought that game was pretty hard hitting, man. That
I,
was a hard hitting game. There were a lot of big hits from a lot of players in that game tonight, and I would only expect it to continue to increase. But I was impressed. I was impressed with the discipline on both teams. They played between the whistles. They protected their goaltenders. They protected each other. It was pack mentality on both sides. There's a reason why both these teams are in the final,
man,
without question, because they play, championship style hockey, and you got to take your hat off to both teams.
before we close up, like one last thing I'll say is when I was walking in my office to do this, I'm thinking if this had been Dallas and Florida, I don't think it would have been. We would have had the hype that we. Well, I know we wouldn't have had the hype that we have this year because we have two teams that met each other last year. You got the two of the best players in the world in Connor Mc. I think this Stanley Cup matchup is really the best outcome that the NHL could have asked for.
100%.
You got a Canadian team. You got a phenomenal defending Stanley Cup champion team. I think this Stanley Cup Finals is good. I think tonight gave us a little taste, a little appetizer of what the Stanley Cup Finals is going to be.
Yep.
I think it's going to be awesome.
100%. Well said. Well, we'll finish it on that one. Great game one. Congratulations to Edmonton, staying disciplined, keeping their fortitude. I'm sure Florida's in there kicking themselves, saying this was a chance for us to steal one. But they'll be ready for game 2. There is no question about it. And Bobrovsky's going to be better. Yeah, I can't wait till Friday.
I
Holy
know.
shit.
I
Way to
know.
go, buddy. Way to
Wait.
go, buddy.
Love
Okay.
you, bud.
All right, Bet. We will try to do at least a show after each one of these games. This is a good way to react in time while the juices are still flowing, while the adrenaline's still flowing. Especially after a game like that, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, game over, boom, overtime. Edmonton leads 1-0 in the Stanley Cup Final. This was Snipes and Stripes right here on No Filter with my good buddy Tim Peel, who just killed it, with the exception of the no goal call. But we'll see you on Friday, Timmy. Enjoy game
Good, buddy.
2.
Bye.
Yeah.